Welcome to Innowera's Simplify SAP Create It Now series. Today we will create a VA41 Create Quantity Contract transaction automation script with Process Runner. In this Excel template, I have data for two quantity contracts with multiple line items. So we will need to implement looping in our script to be able to upload this data to SAP. Let's minimize Excel here, double click on Process Runner, and we'll get started. Now I'm going to double click on New Transaction. And here in the pop-up, I'll enter VA41. And I'm going to click Start Recording. Now I log into any SAP system across my SAP landscape. Process Runner officially works with SAP systems from 4.7 up to HANA. I'm just going to enter a simple username and password here, but Process Runner does work with single sign-on, enterprise portal, SNC, as well as SSO1, SSO2, HTTP, and HTTPS authentication. Now I'm just going to move my SAP GUI over to the side here. I'll bring up my Excel spreadsheet in the background, and I'm going to start to enter my data. First of all, I need my contract type, which is going to be quantity contract. Here you can see why I'm utilizing NMS. Now I'm going to enter my sales organization data, distribution channel, division, sales office, sales group, and now I'm ready to advance to the next screen. Here I'll enter the sold to party, the shipped to party, and then the purchase order number and the purchase order date. Now the valid from date, the valid to date, then we have the billing block, now I'll just move the SAP GUI over to the side here so we can see the rest of our data. I have the pricing date. I'm deliberately going to change the digit here because I want to make this an active field in my script file. If I don't input any data here and just leave it with the default setting, then this would not show up as an active field in my mapper ribbon in Process Runner. Now the order reason, and then we have the ship conditions. And now what's really important here is I'm going to push enter. And this is going to separate my header data from my line item data. When we're in the mapper ribbon of Process Runner, I will point this out why this is so important to separate the header data from the line item data. Now I just need to hit enter one more time because of this warning. And now I'm going to begin to enter my line item data. Now if I were to enter all of my data on this first row, because Process Runner is going to create an automation script, each additional line item would also be written to the first row here, causing the data to overwrite each other. But if I input my data starting in the second row, and then push enter, SAP pushes the data up. Process Runner will automatically write each additional line item to the second row. And because we're automating this enter, the data is always going to be pushed up and the line items will not overwrite each other. So now I just need to push save. I'm going to bring up Process Runner here. And what I like to do is start out in the simple view for my mapping. Now here, Process Runner has already created a data template for me. There's a template as well as one row of data. But what I want to do is link this recording that I've done to the external Excel file that I showed you earlier. So from this drop down here, I'm going to select Use External Excel File. And now I just need to find that file. And now I have the view of that external Excel file here in Process Runner. I'm just going to pull this up a little bit, make it a little bit easier to see. So now I just need to verify that all of my fields have been properly mapped. So I have my sales document type coming from column A, sales organization from column B, distribution channel from C, division D, sales office, sales group, customer purchase order number, customer purchase order date. These are all properly mapped. And then continuing, I have the sold to party, shipped to party, valid from date, valid to date, billing block, date for the pricing and exchange rate, order reason, shipping conditions, material number, and target quantity. So all of my mapping is correct. Now I'm going to switch to the advanced view so that we can implement looping. You'll notice now in the advanced view that each of the screens that I navigated is showing up here, and each of the fields that are on those screens that I entered data into, they are also showing up here in this mapper ribbon. Now as I scroll down, we can see that the header data here is under this screen, and then also I have my line item data under this screen as well. But because I pushed that enter button, as I had pointed out to you earlier, this separates the header data from the line item data, and this is going to allow me to implement looping. And so that's why it's so critical to hit that enter button to separate the header and the line item data when looping needs to be implemented. So here now at the screen, I'm going to select from this drop down, Start Loop. Process Runner will automatically place the end loop just before the save. So for this particular script, I don't have to worry about moving this end loop. However, if you did need to move it, you can right click on your mouse and you have the option to cut, copy, clone, and then you could also paste if necessary. So for some scripts, you may want to move that end loop. Also, if you need to create nested loops, you may need to add additional loops that need to be moved around. Now we need to set up the blocking type. And so I'm just going to go with the default blocking type here, on value, ignore blank, with the block value of A. So Process Runner will analyze the data in A. When it encounters a value, it begins the loop, skips these two blank rows, and then ends the loop just before the next value is encountered. And this will allow me then to have looping for these line items, and it won't matter how many line items I have. I can have varying amounts of line items as Process Runner knows how to analyze the data, when to stop and start the loop. Now I'm going to go over to the Home ribbon. Here I'll input a start row and an end row. I'm only limited by the size of Excel. So if I have a large amount of data, I have like 1,020,000 row limit with Excel. And Process Runner will automatically stop processing the data when it encounters 5 blank rows. That's a default setting that can be changed. So you essentially don't have to worry about what end row you input, as Process Runner again will stop processing when it encounters 5 blank rows. Now I'm just going to push the run button here. I get this prompt that I need to save the file before I execute it. So I'll go ahead now and just click Save as Local, and I'm just going to change this name to VA41. And I'll just save it in my default folder, this Innowera process files, but this could be saved anywhere in my hard drive or network. Now I'm prompted to log into SAP. Now the SAP messaging writes directly to my Excel spreadsheet. So here I can say that these contracts have been successfully saved. Now let's just go into SAP and verify that our looping worked properly. Enter VA43, and let's just move this over to the side a little bit. And we'll enter in the contract number. Hit enter here. And there is my contract with my 3 line items. The looping was successful. I've been able to create a VA41 transaction automation script for creating quantity contracts with looping. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to learn more about Innowera's products to simplify SAP, visit us at innowera.com.